The modern web and its applications are built on APIs. Whether using API gateways such as Amazon API Gateway, relying on third-party APIs, or deploying your own revenue-generating APIs, there's an ongoing need to scalably monitor the performance of an increasing number of API endpoints. ThousandEyes API test type offers SRE, DevOps, and NetOps teams a scalable mechanism to quickly deploy complex API monitoring and to gain detailed visibility into the performance of each API step. Let's jump over to the ThousandEyes platform and see how easy it is to configure these tests. To set up a new API test, click on Cloud and Enterprise Agents and then Test Settings and choose Add New Test. Next, select the API test type. You can give the test a name and then enter the target API URL and path. To configure details and parameters for the API request, click on Configure Target API. Here, you can specify the type of request and the request URL, along with setting parameters, authentication, and headers. In order to test more complex API interactions, the Add Step button lets you configure multiple steps or API calls to chain together. You can even pass information between steps with variables. We'll just use a simple one-step GET request in this example. When you're finished, click on Save. Now you'll just need to select the test interval and which Cloud and Enterprise agents you'd like to run the test on. And that's how easy it is to configure an API monitoring test. The other option for adding a test is with AWS Test Recommendations. The AWS Test Recommendations for API Gateway helps users of this Amazon service by discovering a customer's relevant API endpoints and creating easily deployable test templates with the complete API requirements to easily begin monitoring performance. This integration is easy to set up and can be done from the Integrations menu. Just click Add New Integration and choose Amazon Web Services, and then enter in the required information. Once the integration is set up, ThousandEyes can automatically generate new tests based on the API Gateway endpoints you have configured in AWS. Configuring the integration and linking to your AWS account is easy to do. Once that's completed, you can head back over to Cloud and Enterprise Agents and choose Test Settings. This time we'll click on Add from Recommendations. This next screen will allow you to select test templates that have been generated from the AWS API Gateway configurations. The template will show you which tests it's going to create and allow you to select which agents you'd like to monitor from. Once the tests are created, you can use the same API step builder that we looked at before to edit the test or add additional API requests. Now that we've looked at two ways to set up an API monitoring test, let's look at the test result view from one of those. Here we're looking at an API test that's been set up to include 3 steps. On the left, you can see the different test layers, including API, network, and BGP. The graph on the right shows us the performance metrics over time, and we can overlay additional metrics and tests as well. In the bottom pane, you can see the test results by location using the map view, and a detailed list of agents and API results in the table tab. Once you've selected an agent, the Details tab gives you more in-depth information about each step in the API and whether the assertions passed or failed. Here we can see the 3 API steps in this test and the response and result from each. At this time interval, all the steps were passing. In this view, we can see the request and response headers and body as well as the overall status code and result. This view makes it easy for developers to determine which step within an API transaction failed or to troubleshoot different responses by viewing the returned data. Moving forward a little in time, we can see a gap in the transaction time, indicating there was a problem with one of the APIs. We can now see that while the first API step to get the token was successful, the second step, getting a contacts list, timed out. This caused the overall API transaction to fail, and we were easily able to determine at which step this occurred. That's a quick look at how ThousandEyes enables teams to easily set up and view test results for API transactions, allowing you to quickly determine when and where a problem is occurring and pinpoint the exact request that is the root cause.